So starting off, as was discussed in the first chapter, our bodies are made for survival, but also made to produce sound, which is really cool. So the way the sound producing system works is, again, we have the lungs that source the air and push the air in and out. We have the larynx in here. And then we have three different filters that the sound can go through. So we have the pharynx, we have the oral cavity, which is essentially the inside of your mouth. So even the difference in size of mouth can make a difference in the way people sound. And then you have the nasal cavity. So that's part of your nose that then goes back and attaches into your throat. So those are the ways that we get sound. Now the book talks a bit about voiced and voiceless sounds. And when you feel your throat, if you do a voiced sound, like a D as in dad, da, 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 you can feel your throat vibrating. And if you do a T, as in Thomas, there is absolutely no vibrations there. So one thing you will find when you do phonetics is you end up making a lot of funny sounds. Usually I end up mumbling them to myself so I don't sound like too much of a crazy person in public. But you do get used to making a lot of funny sounds and, touching your throat or touching your mouth or being very aware of every movement and noise you're making, which can be fun. Now, one question I do have for you guys is, how does whispering affect voicing? So if speaking like this at a normal volume, I can feel my vocal cords vibrating when I use voiced sounds. But if I were to whisper, or if you whisper to yourself now, what do you find? Generally, there should actually be none to very, very minimal. Any ideas of how we can still be making sounds without using any voiced sounds? You can still say words like dad when they're whispered. But does it still sound exactly like dad? Is it still exactly the same sounds? Yeah, so it's softer and quieter. Now we'll look at this in a minute, but a lot of sounds have a voiced and an unvoiced equivalent to each other. So that means everything is exactly the same. The type of sound is the same, the place where your tongue is in your mouth is the same. The only thing that's different is whether it's voiced or unvoiced. So T and D are one of those pairs where it's exactly the same sound in every way, in where it's spoken in the mouth and where your tongue is and how it's produced, except T is unvoiced and D is voiced. So oftentimes when you whisper, a lot of your sounds will get changed to the unvoiced. So instead of having a D, you might have a T. Instead of saying a B, you might end up with a P, and all the different unvoiced equivalents of those sounds.